Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Todd coming at you from Todd's Health Zone. And of course, this is my lovely wife, Jynnifer, here. And this is our show, Living Your Best Life. And of course, what we do on our show here is we invite really, really awesome people on to talk about what they do and how their profession is contributing to a better, healthier, and just an overall, I would say, well, society. Right about now, we totally need it. It's so chaotic out here right about now. So we need to know how to live well, and we need to know how to live our best life. So honey, introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do.
I'm Jynnifer Quick Cheek, and this is my better half. And I am a certified nutrition coach through Precision Nutrition, just really helping people take control of their wellness through the foods that they ingest in their body. It's only one step of it, but that's a very important step. So, here to help anyone who's just needing a little bit of guidance, a little bit of teaching, to be able to create a lifestyle of wellness.
Exactly. Thank you so much. So, like I said earlier, what we do on our shows, we invite awesome people onto the show to talk about what they do. And we're not going to fall short of that today because we have an awesome lady on this afternoon, Ms. Judy Thurston. I don't know what it feels like in Arizona now, but I don't know if I ever want to go to Arizona because I hear that it's hot. That's all I hear is that it's hot.
Hey, California was hotter than us last week, so there you go.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're right.
They were 120, we were 119, okay?
Oh, I cannot imagine. I struggle with like 95 or 90.
Yes, he does.
So I would not know. I don't even want to know what that feels like, to be in that kind of heat. But Judy, thank you so much for giving us some of your time this afternoon. This is, of course, the Saturday afternoon and, of course, the weekend. And you could be doing some other things. So we totally appreciate you sharing some of your knowledge and your tips and strategies on how to live your best life. And so if you don't mind, just giving us a little bit about who Judy is and your business and your mission and your vision and all that good stuff.
Oh, thank you guys. Well, it's an honor to be here. So great to see you guys. And, I am very passionate about all the things that you guys shared. I am a grief recovery specialist, and I'm also a transformation coach. And I really specialize in wholehearted, authentic living, meaning really balancing not just one aspect, but really mind, body, and spirit. And I really feel like, you both have shared, it's you can't have one without the other. It's really they all work together. And so I do that through hosting retreats. I do destination retreats. We have fitness, we have health food. We'll bring in, private chefs and, teach us how to eat well and get pampered, and we'll do yoga and workout. And then we do a lot of workshop style teaching and training and just really helping people have a safe place. And I think that's really what breeds that authenticity, is when people feel safe, when they feel like they're in a place where they're not going to be judged or shamed, they're able to really express themselves. And I love doing that. I love building communities that just provide that safety. As you guys know, I just launched my book this past summer. And even through that is really healing so many people, because it's giving people permission to really feel what they're feeling without filter, without making any apologies of, being sad, being angry. Grief has so many layers, right? There's no one size fit all. And so I'm just super proud of the book, because I feel like it is just a key to help people, first of all, get in touch with their emotions and feelings, and then have somebody as a guide to kind of walk through, like, this is what that looks like. And it's okay to be messy. It's okay that it doesn't look perfect and it's not pretty and, perfect little bow on top. And I think that's what makes us human, right? That's what connects people, is when we really are engaged with one another, not in our perfection, but really through our flaws and through our weaknesses. And so it's a really beautiful place that I feel like God has put me in right now, that this is the season that I'm in, and this is the platform that he's given me to really be able to share you know, kind of my pain and my challenges and my grief. And in return, that is really what's healing others. You know, our breakthrough is for other people's breakthrough. Our healing is for other people's healing. And it's been just a beautiful journey in spite of obviously the tragedy. I lost my son last summer, and, you know, the book just kind of chronicles how I walked through that. And as painful and as tragic as this season has been, it's also been very fulfilling. And, you know, I share in the book, you know, sometimes you find your purpose, but most of the time your purpose finds you.
Yeah.
And it's not like you can say no to it, because sometimes it's just, this is life, man. Life just deals you stuff and you can't return it. You know, you can't say, oh, I don't want this one. Can I get a refund? You know, you just have to take it. And it's what you do with it that's really the only thing we have control over, right? We have zero control over what life's going to hand us, but we have control of what we're going to do with it. And so I feel like I've allowed, you know, the tragedies in my life and have been able to really use it for the good and to be able to equip others and to really serve. And it's been, you know, a very fulfilling, purposeful journey thus far.
Wow.
So.
Wow. What a powerful life story, you know, and you are the epitome of, I think, I'm trying to find the words for it. I always struggle with these things, but I'm trying to find the words, like the epitome of what it looks like to overcome, you know, and because not everyone will experience a tragic situation as you have, you know, and as your book, the title of it, A Beautiful Tragedy. You know, not everyone, we're all called things beautiful. We're all called something in our lives, you know, you know, the tire, you know, blew out on I had a flat tire this morning. Yeah. Tragic, right. You know, but, you know, we all have our ideas of what, you know, tragedies or the beautiful things in life are. But like I said, to the depth of like losing a loved one. And we were just talking about that this morning, you know, just being able to feel, you know, Jen has a way when she goes, and she can share that with you, when she goes, you know, to her home in Laurinburg, how she deals with the grieving process. So you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, and I know you'll speak a little bit to the grounding part of it, you know, the being present in the moment, to not let it pass by or to ignore it, you know, but to really participate in where you are right there in that moment. And I think as I walked through my grandmother's backyard, which is now my mother's backyard, she lives in the house that, you know, that my grandmother had. And now as my mother's transitioning, I spent time, you know, every time I go down there, I spend time to go in that backyard and deal with what I'm feeling. Connect with my ancestors, walk the same path that my grandmother used to walk around that backyard, touch trees that she planted back there, connect. And then in that moment go, what am I feeling? What do I do with this? You know, because the tendency is to want to not feel it or to not let it overtake you. You know, so I appreciate that, because, you know, I realized, wow, my grounding comes through my walking. And as I thought about how often my grandmother walked after she lost my grandfather, how often she walked those same paths, I'm like, wow, that's in me to connect in that same way. Yours did it more through breathing and focusing and meditating. I think mine is more on my feet. But I think as long as people connect with how they ground, how they get into that moment, I think that's a very, very important thing.
Right. And me, I'm totally lost, you know, in the sense, Judy, I don't know if it's a man thing, you know, or whatever, that we don't connect with our feelings as we should. Because I am one of those ones, I don't want you to see the messy. I don't want to own my messy sometimes. And I struggle with that, you know, and not until I met this one right here was I able to actually let some of the messy be shown, you know. So I that's why I definitely have such freedom with Jen here, because I can let the ego down. And that is so empowering, and you find a freedom in that. And so once again, like I said, you are the epitome of what I see as like overcoming a tragedy. and your book, A Beautiful Tragedy. Now, I know we've been talking about this grounding thing, and people are probably saying, what is that? And I would definitely love for you to, if you don't mind, sharing a little bit about your GIVE principle and what that means.
Awesome. Yes, I would love to. First of all, just, thank you for sharing that, because that's so beautiful, just that you were able to really connect in that way and, be present in that way. And I think we are ill-equipped as a society to deal with grief.
Yeah.
And so anytime we can model that for one another, I think that's where breakthrough happens, right? So it's not like you can read a book and learn it through textbook. You have to read it and see it through example. And so I love even what you shared, Todd, that, meeting Jen, and I've known Jen for many years, so I could totally attest to that and understand how she, can open that up for you to feel authentic and wholehearted enough to be real. And that's, if we can do that for one another, that's awesome. That changes the narrative, because really showing our weakness is strength. That's strength.
I remember the
showing up put together. What's that?
I can't remember the scripture, where it says, in my weakness,
Yeah. So, I mean, that's when God is saying that, that his strength is shown most powerful in our weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. But we have that upside down, and especially for men, not picking on the men.
Yeah, exactly. But I understand. I get it.
But it's just changing that narrative of allowing yourself. Like my husband, he did an Instagram live of reading the book in real time. He had never read it. He never read the manuscript. He never, the first time he ever read the book was when he opened it on Instagram live. I'm like, okay, I don't know if you know what you're getting yourself into, but all right.
He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. And every day, especially certain chapters, he would go on live and just would lose it. And he was just so broken. And I just thought, man, that's beautiful that, as a man, as a grieving father, like that he could put himself, out there like that.
Yeah.
And there were so many young people, Jacob, my son, was an artist, and he had, fans from all over the world. And so they're watching my husband, and I just felt like, what a blessing that Eric's able to model for them what grief looks like, so that they can have a healthy kind of role model of like, what, it's okay to fall apart. It's okay to break down. It's okay to cry, even as a man, So anyway, I just wanted to kind of, to your point, that is a really powerful thing that we can do for one another,
Right.
So with that, GIVE principle. The GIVE principle is an acronym, and it actually was inspired by Jacob, because Jacob was only 18 when he passed, and we had no idea the level of empathy and what he gave really to the world. After we scoured through, text messages, emails, different things, he was so engaged and involved with so many young people, helping them, trying to help them from not killing themselves, or trying to help people stay sober, or helping people who had chronic illness, helping people who just got back from coming out of a rehab or mental institution. I mean, he was pouring himself out. And, this is what I've been doing for the last 15 years professionally is, I counsel, I help, I coach. So I know what that takes to do that. So here's an 18-year-old who's really not equipped and didn't really have the tools to pour back into himself. And so I just felt like this is so powerful, because when you think about people who burn out, when you think about people who all of a sudden have like chronic illnesses, who all of a sudden are just so stressed out, who just all of a sudden they're like, I'm just done, it's because we give, but we don't know how to pour back in. And so this principle is my form of really self-care and self-love. It's how do you pour out of your overflow and not out of your emptiness, right? And I mean, all of us, I'm sure, can attest to pouring out of our emptiness.
Yes.
Just because that's our society, right? It's all about we got to get hours and we got to make it happen. And so how about like if you just took 15 minutes a day out of your time and poured back into yourself, what would life look like for you? How would your life change? And I started this practice, and it was like for me the missing link. I mean, I've done everything. I'm a health coach as well. I'm a fitness trainer. I've been a Christian for many years. I've been in leadership. I've been all kinds of ways that I've really tried personal development for myself. But I felt like this particular practice was a game changer for me. And it was just this 15 minutes a day of pouring back into myself through my meditation, mindfulness, prayer technique that I kind of just structured, right? I mean, it's not like rocket science. It's not like I didn't, invent anything. It's just the way that it's structured. It helped me to frame it in a way that was like, okay, A, B, C, D, like this is what you do, right? And so GIVE is an acronym, and it stands for, G stands for grounding. Jen alluded to that a little bit earlier. And it's just a practice of being present. How do you stop everything? Because all of this is also, you're changing neural pathways in your brain through this type of meditation. It takes you out of reactive thinking and into active thinking, right? Mm-hmm. Reactive thinking is normally anxiety. It's normally worry. It's normally depression, anything that just kind of our default. Our default is not usually good. Humans' default is not usually good, right? So we have to be active, proactive. So grounding helps you to take you out of the past that you cannot change because it's over, and it takes you out of your future that you cannot control. And so it helps you, just keeps you in this present moment, like what is in front of you right here, right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, right there, that's freedom, right? Like that just takes you out of all the what ifs and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and the things that just kind of spiral in our mind. And so with grounding, it's just training your mind to like, okay, right here, right now, what's in front of me? Let me focus on that. I stands for intention. And like I said, active brain is you're taking a word and you're intentionally thinking about that word for 15 minutes, and it can be anything. When I wrote the book, those were the words that I used. There's 40 chapters in the book. Those were the intentions that I used from the moment that we got the phone call that Jacob was on his way to the emergency room, all the way to the 2 weeks in the ICU, him being in a coma, all the way to his funeral, memorial. It's a 40-day journey, a snapshot of what that looked like for me. And the chapters that I used in the book were the words that I used as my intention for the day. Some days were just peace. Some days were just hope. Some days was just surrender. That's all I could muster up, and it was powerful to take those words and then just internalize it. Like, how do I just focus on that word and really marinate on that word for 15 minutes? And then as you see, that takes you throughout your day, and it helps just kind of pave the way for your day. Mm-hmm. V stands for visualization. That's very, very powerful. V is really the active action step of faith, right? Like, how do you see something that's not there? How do you visualize? How do you imagine? Every day we imagine Jacob waking up. Every day we imagine that he would wake up without any brain damage. Every day we imagine that he would heal, And so I'm sure people think, well, that didn't work out too well for you, But I think the power is in the moment of, again, taking your thoughts captive and having active thoughts. I study a lot of, books on the Holocaust, and a lot of Holocaust survivors that have been, interviewed, people that were in concentration camps. When you ask them, how did you get through that? What did you do? And every single person that I read about said, I visualized coming home to my family. I visualized coming home to my kids, being able to hug them. I mean, they were vivid in their visualization. And that's the power of the mind, right? That we can visualize, and that gives hope. That keeps you going. Powerful practice. Lastly, E stands for expressing gratitude. We know now science has shown that gratitude rewires the brain. And so gratitude changes the atmosphere in the room. I mean, just look at when you see somebody who's grateful, who has an attitude of gratitude, and just how the room lights up versus, you know, the Debbie Downers and the pessimists and the people that are like always telling you what's happening on the news, right? We try to avoid those people. But expressing gratitude is a very powerful exercise, especially right now in the middle of the world that we're in, when there's so much, you know, bad news. Like, let's be the ones who share good news. Let's express that gratitude. And when we were in the hospital, my husband Eric was such a great example of this. Like, he knew every doctor, nurse, specialist, receptionist, and he would just thank them and express gratitude. And at the end of the 2 weeks that we were in the hospital, I remember nurses were coming up to us in tears, and they were like, you know, the ICU is where death happens. We expect death to happen here. This is our job. This is what we signed up for. It's always just gloomy and dark and death. They're like, but you guys came in here and you brought light, and the gratitude that you shared changed the floor here. They're like, we've never seen anything like it, and we're forever grateful for you guys, you know? And so simple, right? But it's a practice, meaning, you know, it's something you have to cultivate. And as you guys know, as fitness, you know, health and wellness trainers, it's, you know, you don't just tell somebody one day, all right, go eat well and exercise every day, and then walk away. It's like, it's a training, it's accountability, it's community, it's connection. It's like, how do we empower and encourage each other to really bring out the best in each other? And so that's what I love about this principle. And when I started doing it for me, it was so life-changing. But when I wrote the book, and I also do coaching, and I have you know, groups that I do guided meditations with every day, and to see the power in their lives is really humbling. I have a woman who has had extreme anxiety, takes sleeping pills every day for the last 15 years of her life. She just has to, like, she cannot shut her brain down. And after like, I don't know, I think 8 or 9 days with meditating with me, she inboxed me. She's like, I did not have to take a sleeping pill for the first time in 15 years. Because of these meditations, I'm able to like shut down my brain, and I'm able to let go of that anxiety. And, you know, so there's just many stories like that. That's very humbling and very encouraging to see that it works for other people as well. So
Yeah.
Amazing. I am so like, I you know, sweet and simple. And why can't it be just so 4 letters can change your whole life? You know, a 4-letter word can change your whole life. So wow, so amazing. And thank you for sharing that. And you know, it's like I said, we have these 3-hour or sometimes all day conversations, you know, with each other, about these same types of things, in terms of like, you know, we were talking recently about doing versus being. And like I was saying earlier, you know, we are in a society where we're just about a lot of doing, but we don't take the time out to just be. And I think that's really why we are probably where we are in this country, and probably some parts even all the world, you know, because a lot of us, we've forgotten how to just be. And thank you for those principles. And I urge everyone that's out here listening to definitely get your book, because it's a beautiful book, beautifully written, and your journey, you know, is really just amazing. And like I said, the epitome of overcoming. And I just wanted to kind of like touch on a topic that, Judy, a lot of us don't talk about in society, and that's mental health. And this is something I feel, you know, gets overlooked, either, you know, unspoken about in a lot of circles, because we are ashamed to talk about it, maybe, that we do need help, you know. And like I was saying earlier about myself, you know, letting go of the ego could be a challenge for me. So I know that through this whole experience, you know, you probably, you know, see the mental health area or industry or profession or what have you as a much needed conversation to be had.
100%. I mean, I was listening to a statistic a few weeks ago that was super alarming. They said just in normal circumstance, okay, BC, before COVID, just, you know,
I love it.
uh, but there's 1 out of 5 people struggle with their mental health. 1 out of 5. I thought, wow, that is a pretty high percentage
Yeah.
for me, you know? And they said now, since in the last 6 months, since we've, you know, been in this quarantine, do you know what the statistic is now?
I was afraid.
Yes, I was shocked. It's almost 47%.
Wow.
So really 1 out of 2 people are struggling with their mental health. Even the strong people, even the people that are usually the ones that are carrying others, right? And so we kind of talked about this earlier. If you're the one giving, and then something like this happens, like a pandemic, and then, you know, you're all of a sudden home with 5 kids homeschooling and a husband that's home all the time, and, you know, like kind of you're caught off guard, and so you're having to give even more. And if you don't know how to pour back into yourself, man, it's tough. So I'm seeing that even my friends that are normally the strong people, that are normally the ones taking care of others, they are struggling. And so I 100% believe we need to talk about mental health. We need to really normalize the idea that, you know, it's okay to talk about mental health. I love, you know, Eric and I are in a community right now where his work, they actually every year give you, for you and your family, as part of your insurance package, 5 mental health visits to a therapist of your choice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And their whole thing is like, don't wait till you need it. Use it as preventative measure. So you have this 5. If you need more, we'll give you more. But here's 5. Find a good therapist and just make this a part of your rhythm of your life.
Amazing.
And so our little community here, we talk about therapy like it's going to the gym. Like we have friends, can we go hang out Tuesday night for dinner? Oh no, we have marriage counseling that night. Okay, how about this night? Yeah, that's great. You know, oh, we have therapy that night. Like everybody's so open about it. It's so refreshing. It's so beautiful. And I think it should be that way, right? Like we should have mental health, you know, wellness areas, meditation areas, therapist, you know, on every corner, like we have Starbucks, and not even think about it. Like that's my vision of like, that's how normal it should be, because people that are struggling in silence are hurting, and they are hurting bad. I'll tell you, one of the motivations, the things that inspired me to write the book too, is because I was super vocal on my social media about our journey. People were inboxing me left and right, and I'm talking pastors, I'm talking people who lead, you know, communities, community leaders, people that you would never guess, were inboxing me, sharing like, oh my gosh, you know, we're dealing with the same thing, and our child's in and out of rehab, and our child has substance abuse problems. But you would never know that from the outside, you know. And again, our openness breeds openness for other people to feel safe enough to be like, oh man, me too. You know, I'm not the only one. Like, me too. And that really hurt my heart to know, like, churches should be a place where we all should feel the safest. And sadly, it's where people don't feel safe at all, you know, because of that judgment. And because I think it's just the misinformation of mental health, right? So back in the day, maybe the narrative was, hey, if you're having mental health issues, well, you're just not praying enough.
Right.
You're just not reading your Bible.
Yeah, not
you're just and you know, getting medication or going to a therapist, it's like, oh well, you know, your faith is not as strong. And so I think we have to really change that narrative, because it's hurting people. And the more that we talk about it openly, the more that we're able to you know, get the help that we need sooner.
I think especially in our community, especially in the African American community, I think we've got to, you know, get away from the mindset that it's a weakness to, you know, put our weaknesses out there as a bad thing, to have to go get mental health help as a bad thing. I really wish that stigma would go away. Because we hurt ourselves. I think especially probably as Black women, where we end up taking care of a lot of family and not getting the help that we need ourselves. And we go to church and put on the strong face, and we've got to be a certain way to allow ourselves permission. And like you said, normalize it. That we go get the help that we need and be willing to put it out there, be willing to be vulnerable, be willing to allow people in. We put too much of the face on, we put the pretty pictures up on Instagram, we'll show our food, but we won't show our feelings, and there's what I ate, but not what's eating me. And I think when we stop doing that, everybody feels like, well, now I've got to put up the pretty picture like everyone else. And I appreciate that your vulnerability was so evident, as I watched through all of last summer, and here and there could put out a message and whatever else in support, or even no matter what it was, to let keep going in that. And that message is so very needed. That vulnerability is so needed. And we do need to normalize that, and normalize being able to go and get help, whether when we need it, or I love what you said, before we need it. Before we're in that dark place, to just go, let me just deal with my everyday things. Because if we deal with it's like if I'm making a cake, if I can break open, I said, this is an egg, and this is flour, and this is sugar. But once I mix it up, it's hard to figure out all of those pieces individually. But if I can deal with the egg when it's an egg, and I can deal with the flour when it's flour, then I'm dealing with those things in the moment before they become this. And somebody says, what are you feeling? I don't know. But I think if we're normalizing that on a daily basis, just where we are right then and there, that grounding of in the moment. What am I feeling right now so I can handle this right now? Then it doesn't take us down the road where we can't identify it anymore.
Yeah, so beautiful. I love that cake analogy. I'm gonna steal that. That's good.
Best at that, man. I tell you. I think I'm going to probably move down to Arizona. If you guys have communities like that, I'll have to deal with the heat. It's an awesome thing that you guys are doing down there, where you are open. You have open discussions, and you're able to talk about your vulnerabilities and therapy and things like that. Because, like I said, we just don't know how to do that, and that's a sad state of affair. And so, applaud you for everything that you're doing, Judy, and everything that you're going to do. Okay, because there's more. There's more, in this life, and more days than we can count right now. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. And if you don't mind sharing with us, what's in the future of Judy Thurston and her business and her vision and her mission?
Wow. Well, kind of a lot right now. So right now I'm just fully, in marketing mode for the book, and just getting it. Find your book? Yes. Oh, yes. So I'm gonna show you.
I have it on
the
Kindle.
book. Beautiful Tragedy. You can get it anywhere on Amazon. Sorry, my dog. You can get it on Amazon, either on Kindle or hard copy or paperback. And right now it's on sale on Kindle for 99 cents, because September is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. I didn't know if you were aware of that. Yesterday was Suicide Awareness. August 31st was Overdose Awareness. So this whole, this season, this time right now, I'm grateful that there's a lot of awareness and sharing, and, just putting out information and really equipping people. And I really hope that that's what this book does, is that it equips people and it gives them just kind of a peek in what's happening behind the scenes, right? I mean, I'll tell you, I'm probably one of those people, confession, that if I saw or heard somebody died of a drug overdose, there was a mental picture in my head of they were probably an addict, and what did those parents do, or did it do, right? There's all these judgments right away that can happen. And I'll tell you, this has been a very humbling experience, because we raised our kids in the church, and we homeschooled them, and we were together, and we had a great relationship, and and it was just really shocking to see that this can happen to anyone. This can happen to the best of the families, and the most broken of the families. It doesn't matter, and it's an epidemic, and we need all hands on deck for this. So that's another thing I'm doing, is I'm really connecting with other organizations. I'm not here to build my own, because if it ain't broke, why fix it? Like, I want to just help piggyback and connect with people who are doing it and doing it well. So I've just aligned myself with the Imperfectly Perfect campaign, and they are out of Australia, but they're an international mental health awareness campaign. Glenn Marston is the president, and he was a fashion photographer. So he has access to a lot of celebrities and a lot of people in the media, and he's getting them to share their story. And I just think it's powerful, because again, it's, people that we think, oh, they're celebrities, they have it all together. They're showing a part of their lives that's like, you know what, no, this is what I've gone through, and this is the challenges that I've gone through. And so I love his organization. I'm part of that. We also support PAL, which stands for Parents of Addicted Loved Ones, because we realize that, man, parents need support. Parents are the ones that are, trying to help their addicted loved ones, and they need all the support that they can get. They need to be equipped. They need to be knowledgeable. They need to just have a community around them, because it is tough. I mean, it is a really, really not just a hard road, but with the stigma and everything else, it could be a very lonely road, right?
Yeah.
So what else? I do coaching online, and I do that with my best friend, Vicki Hagedorn, and we've been doing that for the last 5 years. And that's been a great, way to work with us. And I'm, like I said, I do like daily meditations with the group, and then we just help equip people to, like you said, live your best life. How do you become the best version of you? How do we get rid of the ego? How do we, really rally together and have a holistic approach to our health and wellness? And so, there's many things. I have my hands on a lot of things.
You got a full plate for sure.
And it's really exciting, because it's all the things that I love to do. Like so many things that I'm very passionate about equipping people, about helping people transform their lives. And it's about giving people hope that no matter how hard or how bleak or how dark life can be right now, there's always another side, right? And so I'm very, very grateful that I'm in that place today. But it's a choice, right? I mean, there are times where, through this grieving process, where I just stayed in bed and didn't shower, didn't brush my teeth, didn't want to see anyone. And I had to be okay with giving myself permission to be like, you know what? That's okay. You don't have to be superwoman for everyone, and that's okay, and that's acknowledging having those boundaries, and not, wholehearted living, authentic living is about being true to you, honoring you, and not feeling like, oh, well, but there's this expectation of me, and people think I need to do this, and so I better show up like this. It's like, no, I show up the way God tells me to show up, period. And I think when you get older too, you just like, I don't have to impress anyone anymore.
Exactly.
So what you see is what you get, and there's freedom in that. It's really like,
it is liberating.
Okay.
It's definitely liberating. I'm so glad I'm not 25 anymore.
Right. Maybe they call that wisdom. Is that called wisdom?
Yeah. Gray hair.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
I'll take it too. So, Judy, probably either the easiest question of the day or the hardest question of the day. If you could change one thing right now in the world, what would it be?
Ooh, that is a great question. I mean, I think kind of everything we've been talking about is like having the courage to be honest, having the courage to be authentic, because when you are sharing with one another on a soul to soul level, you realize we are more the same than we are different, right? So right now you've got all kinds of, craziness in the world, that's so much division of pitting us against each other because of all of our differences. But when you really sit face to face with someone and you talk to someone soul to soul, you realize, you know what, we are the same.
Yeah.
And pain is a great equalizer, right? Pain is something that we are all going to experience at one point or another. And I think that pain connects us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we need to, that's how we build empathy and compassion and love, is when we can really hear and see each other's pain in a way that we're not defensive, or we're not like trying to, not take responsibility or whatever, our ego gets in the way. But if we can just connect with each other through our pain, I really think that will change the world. I know that sounds a little kumbaya cliche, but
no, it doesn't. I mean, that is what we need. My goodness, and that is, I couldn't have said it any better. And perfect. Honey, I don't know if there's any last words that you have.
No,
Okay.
I think honestly, get her book, connect with it, be willing to connect with yourself. I love that it wasn't just a narrative, but that it was guidance. And, Judy's heart transfers, because had it not been for her reaching out to my best friend, Robin, and Robin has been probably one of the most integral parts of my life for the last 28 years. So I'm going, had it not been for her reaching out to Robin, and Robin being that integral part, I don't know that I'd be sitting here, with a healthier mindset. So thank you, Judy, because your heart transfers and continues to transfer. So it has been for at least this 28 years, but for those of you who are willing to connect with your own hearts, grab her book and let that give you some guidance in there.
Awesome. I am surrounded by just brilliance. I appreciate you too. And Judy, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. You're beautiful, you're awesome, and I look forward to, like I said, what God has in the future for you. So thank you so much. Okay.
It's an honor, a pleasure, and I just love that what you guys are doing, and bringing this out to the world and equipping others. So best of luck to you. I'm always here as a resource and as a friend, and I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and thank you for having me. Really an honor.
Thank you so much. Well, everybody, thank you once again. That was Judy Thurston. So definitely check out her book. And thank you for hanging out with us wherever you are in the world and whenever you are in the world. Right. So thank you so much once again, everyone. And catch us next time on the show here, Living Your Best Life. And you can also find this on our website at toddshelfstone.com. And thank you, honey, for hanging out.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.